everyone. My name is Natalia, and I am one of the co-founders of School for Young Armies. And also, I'm gonna be here with you as one of your English teachers on an advanced English course. So nice to meet you all, and welcome. I'm really glad to have you all here in our first recorded class. So let's get started. Today's class is about past perfect. So first of all, how do we use it? How do we know what is past perfect? Past perfect is used to refer to an event that took place before another event that already happened. Oh, by the way, this class is not going to be all the time in English. The most of the time, definitely. But I'm going to put always some points in Portuguese so you can have a better understanding of what's going on. So I'm going to say this in Portuguese. What does it mean? What is using the past perfect? É quando duas ou mais ações no passado que ocorrem de maneira não concomitante, isto é, uma anterior à outra. É o equivalente ao nosso pretérito mais que perfeito no português, que é quando nós falamos eu tinha feito, eu havia feito, eu tinha visto, eu havia visto. Por exemplo. And when we use this verbal form, nós estamos usando essa forma verbal, é muito comum usarmos alguns advérbios, some adverbs. And here are some examples. When, just, already, by the time, ever, never, before, and after. Here we have some quick examples. When JK got at Hybe, the boys had already left. Second example, they had never been on an airplane before that trip. Jimin had just finished his dance practice when Taehyun got there. Okay? Now you ask, but how? How do we use? How is the form, is the structure? And here I came to show you. First of all, we're gonna use had, that is the past form of have, plus the principal verb in the participle form, plus the complement. Here is an example. Jean had, here's the had, arrived. Arrived is the verb arrive in the participle form. Jean had arrived in home before dinner. In home before dinner is the complement, it's the end of the sentence. All right? And there is other way we can use the had. It's the contract. It's when you use like, I instead of say I had, it's like I'd. You had, you can say you'd. He had, you can say he'd. She had, she'd. It had, it'd. We had, we'd. You had, you'd. They had, they'd. And here is a quick example. He fought for his rights before. Ele tinha lutado pelos seus direitos antes. He'd fought for his rights before. But what is participle? How do I know how to use the verb in participle form? We have regular verbs and irregular verbs. When the verb is regular, here, you're usually gonna write the main form of the verb plus D or ED or IED. But when the verb is irregular, it doesn't gonna follow a specific pattern. So there is no rule to use them in participle, in past participle. Let's see some examples. Here we have regular verbs and irregular verbs, just some of them. There is a huge list that you're gonna have access later. To dance, danced. To talk, talked. To follow, followed. To fix, fixed. To close, closed. To clear, cleared. To move, moved. All of this is regular. So as you can see, we add ed. D here, dance D. Talk, ed. Follow, ed. All of them follow the same rule. Now the regular verbs, it's different. To read. Even though here in the participle, it's written the same way the pronoun is read. Read. To cut, cut. To break, broken. To think, thought, thought. To choose, chosen. To eat, eaten. To get, gotten. To get, gotten. As you can see, we have no pattern here. Instead, so regular verbs, remember, we're always going to use D, ED, or IED. Irregular verbs, there is no specific rule or pattern to follow. And here we have some examples. More examples so you can really learn how to use this verbal form. Youngie had, here in purple, had fallen asleep. Fallen asleep, it's our verb, fallen, in the participle. When the stylist arrived in the set. Youngie tinha caído no sono quando a estilista chegou no set. Dean had changed his clothes before the end of the concert. Jean had changed participle, as you can see, ed, regular verb, his clothes before the end of the concert. O Jean tinha trocado de roupas antes do final do show. Now, the structure of negative form. In affirmative form, we use had plus the verb plus the complement. Here, the only thing that changes is the not. Instead of saying had done, we say hadn't or had not. Had not done plus the complement. Example, Hosok had not danced by the time he got at Hype. It means Hosok não tinha dançado na hora que ele chegou na Hype. And as you could observe, I used hadn't, which means had plus not. You can also use hadn't. You doesn't necessarily need to always say had not. You can say the time he got at Hype. Okay? Now the structure for interrogative form is when you're asking a question. So you're gonna have had, always had, the past form of have, plus the subject, plus the verb and past participle form, plus a complement. Had Jimin eaten by the time he got home? Had Jimin is the subject, eaten by the time he got home? And here is something really important. Quando a gente for formar uma frase interrogativa, ela pode sofrer alteração quando a gente acrescenta as chamadas question words. E elas vão ser usadas para saber alguma informação específica. Portanto, nesta ocasião, as question words, elas vão tomar a primeira posição na ordem da frase. Quais são essas question words? What, who, where, how, why. Okay? Let's see an example. This is the main structure. Question word plus had plus subject plus verb in the participle plus the complement. Who had J-Hope seen last week? Who, we have here the question word plus the had. J-Hope is the subject. Seen, the verb in the participle. Last week, the complement. Who had J-Hope seen the last week? Everything is all right? And here, I took the same sentence in the different forms. Affirmative, they had finished their album last month. The negative form, they hadn't or they had not finished their album last month. As you can see, had or hadn't plus the verb in the participle and the complement. And here the question, had they finished their album last month? Had they is the subject. Finished their album last month? Subject means sujeito. And in case you want to answer the questions, the interrogative form, you can say, for example, the same sentence. Had they finished their album last month? No, they hadn't finished their album last month. Or, yes, they had finished their album last month. So, this is where our first recorded class. I know it's really short, but this is not supposed to be a very long class since we don't want you all to get really bored. And, it's really tiring when an online class takes too long time. So see you next week. I'm really grateful for being here with you, and leave your observations, anything you want to ask in the comments, or you can also ask in our live class. Bye bye.